And while we're in the festive mood, kids, if you like this hat, you can get one at section 102 and 114. Don't be familiar faces. It's on Fun Road. Be sure to check it out. Enjoy the eat up.
TJ Finley.
What's good, everyone? This is RawTruth Media, giving you the raw content that you deservedly need. Please like and share this video throughout all social media platforms. And sorry for the background sound. I'm outside recording this video, so please forgive me. There will be no introduction, no background music. This is straight up football talk. And what I saw yesterday, I went to the game. With my brother. My brother, some of you may know, played D1 football years ago. So he knows the game, and he's calling everything what Jackson State needs to do. He's calling everything that Texas State is going to do. They run an air raid offense. They do a lot of screens, a little bit of RPO to get the pass game going. And one thing that stood out, my brother told me that Jackson State would have eliminated some of the points that they've given up if they would have just tackled in space. To repeat that, Jackson State would have eliminated a lot of the points they had given up if they would have just tackled space, if they would have just pursued it well, not only on defense, but on special teams. Special teams kept kicking it to number 2 the whole time. It got on my nerves. That has to be rectified. And the saddest part about this game was Jackson State scored 34 points against an FBS team. And if Jackson State would have defended like they usually defend, let's say they only give up 48 points the whole game, that would have looked like a respectable score. But I'm going to be very honest. I think Texas State, they improve. They probably will win 8 games from what I saw, which is a major improvement for them, but they're not world beaters, what I saw. And that's the reason why UTSA, shout out to them, I live in San Antonio now, UTSA beat the crap out of them defensively. They beat Texas State 17-13 because all that little screen, smoke screen, all that stuff, they was tackling in space. They was knocking the crap out of Texas State. And that's what I said in my preview video that Jackson State defense needed to do. They needed to hit that team hard to send a message. And the defense didn't show up. The special teams didn't show up like always. Offense was out there giving it their all. The offense, this is so amazing about the Jackson State offense and Coach Maurice Harris, T.C. Taylor. The Jackson State offense scored 20 points. I repeat, 20 points on an FBS team. That's not being talked about because they lost 77-34. If they would have just cut down the bonehead mistakes on defense, and this would have been a 48-34 game, everybody would have been saying how great Jackson State is, deservedly so. Everybody would have been saying, wow, that's an amazing performance. But since they did not tackle, they made the score look worse than what it actually should have been. I've talked to Texas State fans that was at the game, that was very objective, that was impressed with that Jackson State offense. And they were surprised that they scored 77 points. The Texas State fans didn't even expect that their team would score 77 points. That should tell you something. Another Texas State fan that I talked to when I was at the concession stands, was saying that, wow, this Jackson State offense could score with a lot of teams in our conference, the Sun Belt Conference. That's what he said. And that tells you that Jackson State's offense has figured it out. They have figured it out. So all the teams talking mess about JSU, they finally play home games, and the offense is clicking. So what that means is it's going to be tough to slow this offense down. The offense improved drastically. That's what I wanted to see from JSU. But it's really sad. We're supposed to preach SWAC, well, not the SWAC unity, but HBCU unity. And we out here making fun of teams, seem like rooting for FBS teams to destroy HBCUs. And I was telling myself, wait a minute, I thought we were supposed to level the playing field, but all I'm seeing is we're making fun of teams getting destroyed. This is a bad look for HBCUs. This is nothing to celebrate about. This is nothing but buffoonery I'm seeing after a loss. I don't care if it's Southern. I don't care if it's FAMU. I don't care if it's Alcorn State. Shout out to Alcorn State for beating McNeese. It was a bad day for HBCU football. I repeat, it was a bad day for HBCU football. And we out here kikiing it and making fun of it. That's not a good thing. That diminishes a brand. We're supposed to elevate the brand. So I don't get this backwards. When I see scores like Prairie View losing to SMU 69-0, Rice beating Texas Southern 59-0, that's not a good look. Bethune-Cookman, I know they lost 48-7, but they did better than I thought. Shout out to Bethune. And that number 5 for Bethune-Cookman, I know this is I'm recapping the game against Jackson State, but I got to call it all out. Number 5 for Bethune-Cookman, I hope he's healthy because he looks the part that can win games. Some games, more games than last year. Shout out to Tennessee State, Eddie George, for winning a good game against Gardner-Webb. They won it with, I believe, a 50-yard game-winning field goal. So there were some good, bright spots. I was rooting for North Carolina Central and Davis Richards to put up a good performance, but UCLA was dominant. The Pac-12 has been very good this year. And y'all see it. So Howard should have beaten Hampton, but they gave that game away and stopped running the ball. So it was a bad day for HBCUs. Some bright spots, but a bad day. We can't have that happen, man. We got to put a great brand of football. And it was disappointing, very disappointing. Jason Brown, besides that pick, he looked good. He looked very good, and the Texas State fans were surprised that Jackson State was able to march down the field and score at will. Score at will. It's crazy. But that's why I can't have football conversations with everybody, especially grifters. This is why I can only have football conversations with a select few. The takes have been just egregious. No one's talking about who performed well on offense, who executed plays, what defense they were running. It's just buffoonery. We all knew that G.J. Kinney is a masterful offensive mind, but all the points that it's given up, especially we know that Texas State airs it out there, run an air raid offense like Hal Mummy, like many others in the past. Everyone knows, but to defend an air raid offense, if you could tackle in space, you're not giving up all those points. You're not just time after time again. It's just bad fundamentals, and that could be corrected. But it's a damn shame that once the previous coach left, now all of a sudden Jackson State has 4 away games, and they finally get to play a home game next week to defend the SWAC championships. If that's not disrespectful, I don't know what it is, man. But Jackson State, they have a lot to work on defense, special teams, especially special teams. But offense, they're going to score on anybody. So if you want to beat Jackson State, you got to outscore them. And the saddest part of all, the Jackson State defense looks the part, but it's all about execution. If you don't execute, if you don't play physical, it would be a long day. That goes for anybody. But one thing I appreciated at the game, so many people that watch my show, appreciate my channel, reached out to me and just, told me how much they love what I do, and I appreciate that. And I always give JSU fans credit on this. No matter if they win or lose, their energy is the same. That is a fact. No matter if people dislike their fans or not, their energy is the same. They were not going to let a bad defensive performance take away their joy. But this is Raw Truth Media, give you the raw content that you deservedly need. Peace and blessings, and I'm out.